Let's talk NBA, where Los Angeles Clippers guard Chris Paul has announced he will retire after the season. Future Hall of Famer in the midst of his 21st year in the NBA, playing with 7 teams, mostly for the Hornets and Clippers. CP3 goes down as one of the best point guards in league history. 12-time All-Star, 9 times All-Defense, former Rookie of the Year and member of the NBA's 75th anniversary team. He's going to wrap up his career second all-time in assists behind only the great John Stockton. There are some of the career accolades that I highlighted. One of them that is not on this list, of course, is winning an NBA championship. It'll be interesting to see if our analyst thinks that is a factor in how we regard CP3 long term. Hey there, folks. I'm Tommy Tran with Ashley Nicole Moss and A&M as we take a look at CP3 making this announcement. How much of this comes as a surprise today?
Not a big surprise, Tommy. He kind of alluded to this at the beginning of this season that this may be his last. I had a chance to actually sit down and interview Chris Paul, and we spoke about a lot of things. And one of the things I asked him was, there was a lot of conversation about where he would end up when the offseason was kind of in its peak. And there were a lot of teams thrown into the mix, the Denver Nuggets, the Sacramento Kings. And he made it very clear, look, I just want to be near family. At this stage in my career, being present in my kids' lives, just being home with my family, having spent so much of my life away from them, missing moments, is something that was really important to him, which is why the Clippers was the perfect fit. And he said something to me that was, I guess in a way, really profound. The older you get, you realize everybody else around you is also getting older. So at this stage in his career, he's just very much tied into that more than ever before, just being present, being a family man, having those moments that he's had to miss out on so much of his life because of his dedication to his career. And I feel like for him, the writing has kind of been on the wall. This is just the solidification of that.
Reflection's a powerful thing. He'll have about 3/4 of a season officially to do that, certainly with those in the association, and fans will be able to chance to see him if they can. In terms of his career, again, when it's all said and done, how does it stack up in terms of being a Hall of Famer, you think? Maybe even first ballot?
Easily a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, we have the list of his accolades. We can go ahead and bring that up there. There are even more that are not included in that list. And I know a lot of people want to kind of make the joke about Chris Paul never winning a championship. But when you look at this list of accolades, and then there are some that are not even on here. We have a 12-time All-Star, 2006 Rookie of the Year. As we mentioned, the top 75 anniversary team. We also have 9-time All-Defense. I mean, his career is so his career is just so incredible that the lack of a championship, I think that ring culture has kind of taken over the NBA. And we've had this conversation before on this show. This conversation has been had so many different ways by so many different people. The lack of a ring does not negate the lack of an illustrious career. And Chris Paul has nothing short of that. He is hands down one of the greatest point guards we have ever seen. Top 5, if you ask me. I know there's some other names, depending on what your list looks like, that can fill one of those spots. But there is no denying what Chris Paul has meant to the game of basketball, what he has meant to the point guard position, and the fact that he doesn't have the hardware and the holy grail of a championship ring does not negate the fact that this is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
It's interesting because especially in the NBA, you could have like a Hall of Fame within the Hall of Fame of players to never win a ring. I mean, there's the Jordan era, Boston Celtics and Lakers and Bad Boy Pistons have certainly denied so many greats, right? And so Chris Paul, through no fault of his own, had that nice run and then a couple of chances in his veteran years try to get that ring. Certainly didn't get it. But when it comes to Mount Rushmore...
And Tommy, I mean, real quick, look, 2011, what happened? He could have been a Los Angeles Laker, and David Stern vetoed that trade, and something that to this day is the biggest what if in NBA history. We could be having a different conversation about Chris Paul. He probably would have played less years because he wasn't in the hunt for that championship that was so close in his grasp and taken away from him by the vetoing of that trade.
You bring up a great point. Thanks for adding that there. So let me get to what I was going to ask you, which is sort of like Mount Rushmore's point guards. Like, where is he for you when it comes to CP3?
Chris Paul for me is easily in the top 5. I put a list together, and some of these guys obviously I've seen play and some of them I have not. So you can kind of pick out the ones that I have not seen play. This is just because of what they mean to the record books and what they mean to the point guard position. That's Magic Johnson, Oscar Robertson. Steph Curry for me is on that list, absolutely. Steph Curry has so exceeded, I feel like, what the traditional point guard position looks like. And I think that's why Chris Paul is so special, right? I also have Zeke on there as well, Isaiah Thomas. But Chris Paul, for me, I believe, is the last true point guard that existed in the modern NBA. Steph Curry, like I said, has exceeded that position. I believe Kyrie Irving also has exceeded that position. There are point guards who are just so multidimensional that it's almost unfair to refer them as just a point guard. Chris Paul, to me, is just so fundamentally perfect in what you think of when you think of the point guard position, which is why he's referred to as the point god. So for me, Chris Paul, top 5. I don't want to go ahead and sit here and go through, who's 1, who's 2, who's 3. But I will say, for me, I see some other names on here. Jason Kidd is also an honorable mention. I had the opportunity to obviously grow up and watch him as well. But when you just think about the true definition of a point guard, the true fundamentals, I feel like Chris Paul, in my mind, is the last player to do that by the book in what the point guard position means.
Yeah, there's those combo guards, scoring guards.
Right.
But to your point, Chris Paul, the distributor, plays it like when a lot of us and our parents in different generations certainly grew up watching. All right, and then, look, he's got obviously a handful of jerseys that he's linked to playing in the association for as long as he has. But when it comes to the one we will link him with that he'll be wearing, which one do you think? It's really down to 2, we think, right?
It's 2 for me, and I think it depends on, when you started watching basketball and what you have more of a love affair for in terms of the memories, right? We all remember Lob City Clippers and what that team looked like, what kind of basketball was coming out of Los Angeles at that time, really putting the Clippers back on the map. And you can think of Chris Paul there. And obviously because of the trade that didn't happen, and he ended up going to LA, but it was the Clippers, not the Lakers. But I also just think of that Hornets jersey, man. I just think of him in the stripes, New Orleans, young Chris Paul, the city, that it's just so nostalgic for me as a basketball fan. I think Chris Paul in LA was the grown Chris Paul. I think this was the Chris Paul that kind of put him on the map for maybe the casual basketball fans. But I think for the diehards and for the people who were there from day one, I just think you always think of Chris Paul in that Hornet striped New Orleans jersey. And when you think of the Hornets, you think of CP3. It's just the perfect match.
And ironically enough, we get Clippers and Hornets on Saturday on the day that Chris Paul is officially calling it a career. Ashley Nicole Moss joining us here. Ash, thanks for hopping on, giving us your insight as always. And again, taking a look at all-time assist leaders. I mean, I don't know if anyone's going to catch John Stockton, who just kept delivering it to the mailman down in the post there for those great Utah teams. But CP3 can add to his list. He's already second all-time. And what a career we'll all reflect on until the end of the season.